The eternal isle of paradise and the rest of the physical creation. About 5 papers here. Let's see. The universe of universes. The sacred spheres of paradise, the central and divine universe, the 7 super universes. Paradise is the eternal center of the universe of universes and the abiding place of the universal Father, the eternal Son, the infinite Spirit, and their divine coordinates and associates. Somewhere in here, something like even the residents of paradise have differing opinions about the eternal plan of the gods, which sounds strange. The eternal residents of paradise, you would think, since they are extremely ancient beings, would know everything about everything. Nature of the eternal isle. Since you are beginning to glimpse the enormousness of the material universe, discernible even from your astronomical location, ... A lot of information. There's like in here, the eternal isle of paradise is shaped like an oval, like a flat oval. They'll give dimensions for it. They'll often say things like, paradise is by far the most beautiful planet or area that you would ever see or know, things like that. Everything that's like a system capital or a capital of some kind in the universe of universes would be a reflection of the beauty of paradise and Havona. But it is the divine residence. So they'll say like finalers, humans who go on to attain paradise and the universal Father, meet the universal Father, humans who actually accomplish all this. First, you would recognize the infinite Spirit who enshrouds the Son and the Father. Then you would meet the eternal Son who shrouds the Father. And then you would meet the Father. So they say things like that. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Here's an interesting little sentence. They know the direct course to paradise, spirit beings do. So they know God's location and residence just as certainly and literally as you know the location of New York, London, Rome, or Singapore. So, if you had the time and means of passage, were spiritually qualified, and had the necessary guidance, you could be piloted through universe upon universe and from circuit to circuit until at last you would stand before the central shining of the spiritual glory of the universal Father. So, and Paradise Havona is in the center of all things. I think they say something like the grand universe, which would be the current 7 super universes, is like jagged on the ends. And so like, it's not a perfect, I don't know, perfect circle of relatively speaking, a perfect circle around, as far as the creation outside Paradise Havona, the evolutionary creation, not necessarily a perfect circle or sphere around Paradise Havona, I suppose. But so nether paradise, so upper paradise, the God's abode, and other personal activities going on. The nether paradise, the bottom half of paradise, is strictly physical controlling, gravity, things of this nature. I think they say something like there are no personal beings on the bottom half of paradise. So half of God's own planet, there's no personal beings, relatively speaking, whatever they're saying about that. And it's all mechanical. It's all about gravity and things of this nature. But I don't know, something there. Okay. There is a peripheral paradise. other things going on there. They'll talk about space respiration. They'll talk a lot about science, physical science realities of outer space and Paradise Havona and the rest of the creation. There's something about out after Paradise Havona. There's like major gravity bodies, dark, large gravity bodies. Might be 4 circuits of that. I'm not sure, something like that. Um, uh, before you get to the evolutionary creation, which would be the grand universe. Paradise gravity, everything, the inescapable pull of gravity effectively grips all the worlds of all the universes of all space, etc., etc. The uniqueness of paradise. Paradise is unique in that it is the realm of primal origin and the final goal of destiny for all spirit personalities. Although it is true that not all of the lower spirit beings of the local universes are immediately destined to paradise, paradise still remains the goal of desire for all supermaterial personalities. I mean, I like this book. I like the way it says things. It's definitely an intellectual understanding. This is the Urantia book's theory of virtually everything. And, it's a good book. The Universe of Universes. So I guess when if the next paper is saying the Universe of Universes, they're talking about the master universe. They're talking about everything. They didn't title this paper the master universe, but I assume the Universe of Universes. Well, yeah, that the Universe of Universes would encompass everything, I guess. The master universe encompasses, it also encompasses everything. Anyway, Havona, the central creation, the central universe, is not a time creation. It is an eternal existence. This never beginning, never ending universe consists of 1 billion spheres of sublime perfection and is surrounded by the enormous dark gravity bodies. At the center of Havona is the stationary and absolutely stabilized Isle of Paradise, surrounded by its 21 satellites. 1 billion perfect spheres. Lines that I think are important in here, lines I remember, probably repeat myself from things I've said before, but every human is patterned after one of the Havona beings on the outer circuits of Havona. So everyone is patterned after a perfect Havona being. Important to know. Owing to the enormous encircling masses of the dark gravity bodies about the fringe of the central universe, ... So, Paradise, Havona, the 7 super universes are not primary physical organizations. They say there's no ambassadorial contact between the super universes. Each one remains separate until the super universes are settled in like life, and then there would probably be a joining of some kind, and the supreme being would appear as the ruler of the grand universe, the 7 super universes. I think the grand universe is the same thing as the 7 super universes in terms of how it wants to categorize things here. The grand universe then wouldn't include the Paradise Havona system. I don't know what else is interesting about that. The 7 super universes. They say like the next outer space level and future outer space levels beyond the 7 super universes. There's a number in there. They give a description. Tremendous number of galaxies in formation. Like if they can be seen with telescopes, and the creation outside of the current organized and inhabited creation is phenomenally huger than what's currently the organized and inhabited creation. So this is like the first outer space level after Paradise Havona, and they'll talk about 4 more. First outer space level, second, third, fourth, and outermost space level. Paradise is still. Paradise is the only still planet in existence. The outer space levels, far out in space, at an enormous distance from the 7 inhabited super universes that are assembling vast and unbelievably stupendous circuits of force and materializing energies. And I believe these go clockwise, then counterclockwise, then clockwise, then counterclockwise. And those beings who can observe these things can only see that far. That's as far as they can tell activity of some kind going on. And so that's what they can tell us. I don't know. There are many beings who come from paradise. I mean, I'm thinking about maybe the original Michael son. So Jesus of Nazareth is a creator son of this local universe. Michael of Nebadon. Nebadon would be the name of this local universe. But the original creator son, and creator sons are made by the universal Father and the eternal Son. The original Michael son doesn't go out and create and make his own evolutionary creation like the Michael sons who come after him. I would mention that the eternal Son, the bestowal idea is talked about a tremendous amount in this book. And so Michael of Nebadon bestowed himself as Jesus of Nazareth. And there's a lot to this topic of bestowal because it's very important to humans and human worlds. But the eternal Son himself bestowed him. They'll say he bestowed himself 7 times in Havona. They don't say where, like if there's a billion spheres and maybe 7, I think 7, probably 7 circuits of Havona planets. He bestowed himself 7 times somewhere in Havona. And then the Michael son, my point was the original Michael son, the first Michael son, did the same. And they'll say something like, what the inhabitants of Havona couldn't understand by the transcendent bestowals by the eternal Son, they understood better by the bestowals of the original Michael son. Things of this nature. This all goes back to the dawn of time, dawn of creation. Back when the grand universe was just beginning, relatively speaking. They give dates about a lot of things and information about a lot of time segments from the Paradise Havona creation until the present. A lot of scientific information here about space and motion. I remember they say an atom, the parts of the atom, ATOM, parts of the atom, the electron is made up of 100. They give the term ultimatons. That's the word they want to use to describe the 100 spheres that make up one electron. There's other information about that and all that type of thing as far as science goes. Universal over control. See, like it sounds kind of technical, but it's good information to know, just to know what all of creation really is. So the universe is non-static. Stability is not the result of inertia, but rather the product of balanced energies, cooperative minds, coordinated meranches, spirit over control, and personality unification. Stability is wholly and always proportional to divinity. You know, exactly what they're saying there. I mean, you know, I can't exactly say what exactly they're saying there per se. But, you know, if I read the whole thing, and I have, you know, it gives me an overall understanding of what they're trying to say or what they are saying. The part and the whole. There is operative throughout all time and space, and with regard to all reality of whatever nature, and inexorable and impersonal law, which is equivalent to the function of a cosmic providence, etc., etc. There's a lot of physical information in these type papers, right? Versus the goodness type information in the papers about personal things, personal beings. But you know, the next sentence is, so it's all interspersed. You know, every paper, you know, it gives the information it gives. Mercy characterizes God's attitude of love for the individual. Impartiality motivates God's attitude toward the total. Like I'm thinking about, there's a line in the book where anyone action by God may or may not be in the best interest of any one given individual or universe or system or even super universe, whatever they say, something like that. But whatever God does, it's always in the best for the creation as a whole, the master universe. You know, and that's just, and then we should all try to act that way in terms of our own lives. These are the ideas that mean something to me or you, or you know, a personal being. You know, I take the ideas that they give about God and or creation and or physical creation, and then apply them to how I should act, and you know, how I make my life better by being a better person in an overall understanding sense. And here's that sentence. Well, it's in here, but I don't know if I see it immediately. So, you know, it's not, there's a lot in here that's about personal type ideas. The fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man represent the paradox of the part and the whole on the level of personality, et cetera, et cetera. It's just lovely wording, lovely words, lovely sentences about good things. Presented by a perfecter of wisdom, acting by authority of the ancients of days. So if the first few papers were done by divine counselors, the highest beings in the super universe who can give that type of information, that was the information about the gods themselves. Now, you know, perfecters of wisdom also come from the central universe, you know, and they are described. I'm not going to try to describe them, but the sacred spheres of paradise. There are 7. So Divinington is where thought adjusters come from. No other beings, something like no other beings can go there. No personal beings can go on the shores of Divinington. And here's a sentence about that. Like this author here is authoring this paper about it. It is highly probable that those truths pertaining to Divinington, which are withheld from me, if revealed, would merely confuse and handicap me in my present work. And still again, perhaps they are beyond the conceptual capacity of my order of being. But from the standpoint of 7, the number 7, of course, is reflected throughout everything. And so the first sacred sphere would be about the universal Father, as far as I don't know. Here they say the bosom of the Father, the personal communion sphere of the universal Father, and thereon is a special manifestation of his divinity. I can only imagine the size of these worlds is probably, they probably say it as in like unbelievably big. Same for paradise. Same for all the planets in the central universe. Just unbelievably large compared to planets in the evolutionary creation. They say sentences like that. So then the sphere, the second sphere would be, the sphere is the bosom of the sun, the personal receiving world of the eternal Son. Third would be the Spirit. Fourth would be the Father and the Son. Fifth would be the Father and the Spirit. Sixth would be the Son and the Spirit. Seventh would be the three gods. It's always in that kind of an order. If they're creating master spirits, the first master spirit is of the Father, second of the Son, etc. It's always along those lines. That's the order of authority, really. There's a reason why a planet is first of the Father and the Son before it's a planet of, before the next creation is of the Father and the Spirit. And then there's a reason why that exists. And the next one is the creation of the Son and the Spirit. That's just how the gods work. In terms of authority, things of this nature. They give names here. Second sacred sphere of paradise, Sonarrington. It says paradise headquarters of the descending and ascending sons of God. So that would be paradise sons like Michael of Nebadon. Avenals, they talk about avenals. Magisterial sons would be an equivalent term for avenals. Trinity teacher sons would be another. Trinity teacher sons are of the paradise sons. And certainly if it's the paradise headquarters of the ascending sons of God, then it's the paradise headquarters of finaliters, humans, when they reach paradise havona and become finaliters. Third one was called Spiritington. They just give appropriate names, but they've got to make up names because this is original information. So they make up a tremendous number of names for things and beings because they have to. This is original information. You can't find this type of information in any other book, or you just can't. So, fourth planet, Vice-Gerrington. So I'll read something here. The secrets of Vice-Gerrington include the secrets of trinitization, and trinitization constitutes the secret of authority to represent the Trinity, to act as vicegerents of the gods. So each of these planets has their focus in terms of beings that are created by the gods or not, but all the different types of beings in creation. And, there's a phenomenal, huge, tremendous number of different types of beings of all kinds, from man to spirit. And, every type of being, their eventual goal would be paradise havona. I'm sure. They'll say, like currently in a local universe, Lananandex don't leave the local universe, or at least they don't leave the super universe. I'd have to look that up. I think they say, I'm not positive, but not all beings in the current grand universe age are destined to achieve paradise havona. But I assume that virtually all beings after this first outer space level is settled in enlightened life would go on to achieve paradise havona. Although they say something, I think there's a line in there like the Melchizedeks will continue to stay in the local universe of their origin. So maybe during the first outer space level, the Melchizedeks do not go on to paradise havona and then travel back to the local creation. A lot of what I'm talking about right now has to do with achieving paradise havona and then going back to teach at the same levels that you came from. So if I now or a human achieves paradise havona, but then is right back at his world, the world of his origin, his birth planet, like urantia, and teaching and things of this nature, um, or this particular system, et cetera, et cetera. Solitarington would be the number 5. I mean, they give good explanations about these, and each one after the paragraph about the planet, they'll say the secrets of. So, like the secrets of Solitarington. Besides certain secrets of trinitization, this world holds the secrets of the personal relation of the infinite spirit with certain of the higher offspring of the third source and center, etc., etc. I don't know, but I would guess that solitary messengers, I see the word solitary messengers here, has something to do with Solitarington. Solitary messengers are one of the higher beings that are well described in this book for various reasons, because they have something to do more so than other high beings with humans. That's the point of this book, is by and large to describe things that have to do with you, me, humans, as they live their current life after death and what happens after death. A lot of things that have nothing to do with humans in terms of spirit beings or the physical creation or whatever, they don't bother to mention because it's not worth mentioning currently in this book at this time. Number 6, Seraphington. Certainly sounds like seraphim to me. I can only imagine. Certainly the higher spirits are there, Supernaphim, Seconaphim, and Seraphim. Well, the higher ones, I think the super universe ones, and I think there's more than these two, besides the Supernaphim and Seconaphim, maybe others. Ascendington is number 7 of the sacred spheres of paradise. The secrets of Ascendington include ... the sacred worlds of the eternal sun. Basically, they say all 7 of those are empty in a sense, or there's beings there that they never meet. They can't land on the shore. They can't go to this planet, land on the shores of the planet. No spirit beings can go to these planets. Obviously, there's all kinds of beings on there that are known to the eternal sun, but no one else. Things like that. I'm not even, that's my remembrance of it. If I read it, I would understand it. I would say what I'm trying to say without paraphrasing. But the worlds of the infinite spirit, maybe these ones are tremendously larger than the other 2 circuits. And these 7 spheres have to do with, each one is in charge of one of the 7 super universes, the evolutionary creation. And the executives in charge, master spirits, other beings, are on these spheres. I'll read this. To me, these executive worlds, this author here, are the most interesting and intriguing spots outside of paradise. In no other place in the wide universe can one observe such varied activities involving so many different orders of living beings, having to do with operations on so many diverse levels, occupations at once material, intellectual, and spiritual. So, when I am accorded a period of release from assignment, if I chance to be, I usually proceed to one of these busy worlds of the 7 master spirits to inspire my mind with such spectacles of devotion, loyalty, wisdom, etc., etc. So, so I read that, right, and I get an understanding of what a vacation means from a work schedule for a spirit being. And then I can apply that to my own life in terms of how I should act, in terms of how I should work and how I should take a break from work, like get an overall understanding of the eternal process of that. That's what this book is good for. The central and divine universe, the paradise havona system. Well, I don't know how much more. The havona worlds, there is no need of government among such perfect and near perfect intelligences. I'm not sure why they would say near perfect intelligences, but I think they say something like on Salvington, the capital of this local universe, there are animal-like creatures that take care of routine needs of the planet. So creatures of the central universe, life in Havona. I know they say like every human who achieves Havona has to go and visit each of the billion perfect spheres of Havona before they go to paradise. So the entire process of going from a human to a finaliter is long. They'll even say things about the long, long paradise journey. A lot of sentences in here. During your sojourn in Havona as a pilgrim of ascent, you will be allowed to visit freely among the worlds of the circuit of your assignment. You can go back to planets you've already visited, but you can't necessarily go to places you haven't been before, which is definitely symbolically represented on this world, like as far as travel goes or things of this nature. And then, like if I read this book, I understand why the world acts the way it does in terms of how the world does things. I don't know, the central divine universe. They just go on and on describing things of it. And we incline to the last sentence, and we incline to the opinion that the potentials of eternal Havona are really unlimited, that the central universe has eternal capacity to serve as an experiential training universe for all past, present, or future types of created beings. The 7 super universes. I guess I would mention, just from a number standpoint, 7 super universes, 70 major sectors, and each of these sectors or levels has rulers, personal rulers. And then Paradise sends advisors for the evolutionary creation's personal rulers. So, the local universe run by Michael of Nebadon, well, he's from Paradise. But then if you go to levels where the beings are created in that local universe, Verondadecks run a constellation. A constellation has, there's 70 million constellations planned for the grand universe. And a constellation would receive a Paradise representative, maybe called Faithful of Days, maybe. They'll use that phrase of days for Paradise representatives. The Ancients of Days are the rulers of the 7 super universes. And then a local system gets a system capital. There's some kind of being that is actually there, representative of Paradise, just so the rulers and leaders there know that Paradise has a representative there, to believe that Paradise exists, having a being there who's from Paradise. Assigned sentinel, maybe, might be the term for that. So Lucifer knew there was a being on his planet from Paradise. He didn't have to deny the existence of Paradise and the gods. Not sure how all that works, but anyway. But that, as far as Paradise representatives, the system capital would be the last of them, as far as direct Paradise advisors, counselors, observers stationed there. 1 super universe, 10 major sectors, 1 trillion worlds, evolutionary worlds like urantia. So 7 trillion worlds like urantia will be created eventually for the grand universe. And I think they even say roughly, it doesn't have to be exactly 7 trillion. Things like that, if 10 million worlds like Urantia are in a local universe, I think there's a line or two in there about, doesn't have to be exactly 10 million. I think they do give some scientific understanding of things, like from our standpoint of what we know about science. A sentence like, when they try to describe the creation outside of Paradise Havona, the rotation of the 100 minor sectors, including Sagittarius, about their major sector, they'll throw in words and ideas about space that would be recognized by someone who knows about those things. The origin of space bodies, here we go with real scientific stuff. Burned out suns, collisional spheres. Architectural worlds would be worlds that are created by fiat, in the sense that they're just automatically created, perfect capitals of systems or constellations or universes would just be automatically created. It's not an evolutionary process. I believe that would be architectural worlds. The spheres of space. So, as far as the evolutionary creation goes, they get really technical about this as far as what science knows about this. The dark islands of space, the planets, the suns. There's lines in here. I'm not really going to try to remember, I guess, but there's interesting lines in here. It's a very well written book. Circuits of the super universes, physical stability, spiritual loyalty, rulers of the super universes, the perfections of days, or the rulers of the major sectors, recents of days, minor sectors, unions of days, Paradise Advisor, local, faithful of days, Trinity, eternals of days. Each one of those is in charge of one of the planets of Havona. And yeah, they give appropriate names for these beings too, in their own way. Uversa would be the capital planet of the super universe of Orventon, the one we're in, the 7th super universe. Supreme tribunals. So now they're getting into the courts of the ancients of days, the rulers of the super universes. So the court system is very similar to our court system, I would say. They give extreme descriptions about the court system of spirit beings, and seems very, very similar to what we have even currently, in terms of every level of courts that exist, at least in America. As I know America, I don't really know other countries. Purposes of the 7 super universe. Your world is called Urantia, 606 of the planetary group. Eventually, 1,000 would be in the plans for the creation. The system has at present 619 inhabited worlds. This book dates from like 1934, and more than 200 additional planets are evolving favorably. Your planet is a member of an enormous cosmos. You belong to a well-nigh infinite family of worlds. But your sphere is just as precisely administered and just as lovingly fostered as if it were the only inhabited world in all existence. There's another line in here like, just because you suffered an apostate planetary prince doesn't mean you're an orphan in the universe. You're divinely loved. Sentences like that. I mentioned before, well, no, it's not in here. The registry number of total spheres. Here's the line. The grand universe number of your world, Urantia, is 5,342,000,000 482,337,666. So that's where the number 666 comes from as far as this world. So 5 trillion. So if 7 trillion is the goal, then the grand universe is 2/3 complete. I'm totally ballparking, guessing in terms of what I'm saying, but that would be a general idea of how far along the grand universe is. Maybe more than that, more than 2/3, whatever. Worlds in, worlds that are in immature worlds that are in the certain stages of growth in terms of light and life, whatever. And here's that line. I know the physical sphere registry number, but it is of such an extraordinary size that it is of little practical significance to the mortal mind.